Hinei ma tov u'manayim, how great it is to be together to celebrate Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And to celebrate a wonderful milestone in the life of one family and our entire congregation. Every time a young person becomes bar or bat mitzvah, it is a milestone for our community as well as a milestone for the family. Thank you all for being here and helping to create a sense of community for LJ today as he becomes bar mitzvah. Thank you for helping us with our COVID safety. And I'll just mention that there's a lot of space in the sanctuary. Feel free to spread out a little more if that works better for you. We just want everyone to feel safe and comfortable here in our sanctuary. As all of our young people do, LJ will be leading us in prayer this morning. We hope you'll be comfortable reading along with him, responding when he invites you to do so. Some of you might be from other congregations. You might find our tunes to be a little different. We hope you'll jump in, you'll do your best. Some of you might be from other religious traditions. We hope you will find something in our service today that will be meaningful to you. We're just glad you're here. Are we singing again, or we're going to sing some more? Over to Cantor Rhodes.
So we're always singing again when it's up to me. We will join in a lot of wonderful music this afternoon, and I hope you'll sing with us, as Rabbi Schwartzman mentioned. This next song is just on Yailalai, so you don't even have to worry about any Hebrew words. We hope that you allow this song to welcome us into joy for this wonderful occasion. Let's sing together.
La la la
Before we invite LJ to come forward to lead us in worship, before we begin our service proper, it's our custom here at Road of Shalom to pause at this moment in our service to invite the parents of our bar mitzvah to have a private moment with their son. So at this time, I'd like to invite Jen and Josh to stand and be with LJ as they share a private moment with him. And we will have some music that will also be part of this. You might want to prepare yourselves for worship as well through our program, your own prayers, our prayer book.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. We turn now to page 188. As we prepare for our worship service this afternoon, we sing this psalm, Psalm 150, which thanks God for our ability to praise and to be in joy together and to listen to the instruments of the world. So I invite you to join me. The chorus is just Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Page 194, we join together in these words of transition, the Chatzi Kaddish. If you know it, I invite you to please join me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon Uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman kariv V'imeru amen Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam ulal me'almaya Yitbarach Vishtabach Vitpar Vitromam Vitnasei Veitadar Vitale Vitalal Shemei Dekudesha Berichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma V'imeru Amen. If you feel comfortable to do so, I invite you to please rise as we continue with our service, with which LJ will lead us in.
Page 226.
Page 226.
Ready, LJ?
Adonai. Seiff talk. Utfiyagid. Utfiyagid Tehila Taha. We continue responsively on page 229. Our fathers and mothers prayed, each through their own experience of God, each through their own visions, which we have come to share.
Abraham, with the fervor of justice, pleaded the cause of cities. Sarah, in the pain of waiting, dared to hope for new life.
Isaac, meditating alone in the field, lifted his eyes to find love. Rebecca asked for the ability to discern God's call.
Jacob climbed the rungs of his night into heaven, seeking destiny. Leah dreamed of love, and Rachel sought harmony.
We, as they, seek God's presence. We continue responsively on page 231. Your might, O God, is everlasting. Help us to use our strength for good and not evil.
You are the source of life and blessing. Help us to choose life for ourselves and our children.
You are the support of the falling. Help us lift up the fallen.
You are the author of freedom. Help us to free the captive.
You are our hope in death as in life. Help us to keep faith with those who sleep in dust.
Your might, O God, is everlasting. Help us to use our strength for good.
For blessing and not for curse, for life, O not death, for abundance, not want. Baruch. Ata. Adonai. Mikaye. Hakol.
Amen.
We continue with the Kiddush on page 232.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו, אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch. Ata. Adonai. Hael. Hakadosh. Please be seated.
Okay, that includes you. You can be seated too. In the middle of page 234, those of you who are familiar with the Kachenu, won't you join us as we chant with the Cantor, page 234, Kachenu together.
Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu, ve'imotenu, ritzei v'imnuchatenu, kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkenu b'toratecha, sabeinu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu le'avdecha be'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu
be'ahava uvratzon, Shabbat kodshecha, v'yanuchu v'Yisrael, mekadeshei shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
And on the opposite page, won't you join me responsively, beginning in the middle? For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and hands, we give praise. For the peace in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For the gift of Shabbat which renews us for life, we offer blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Continuing on page 238, Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu leolam va'ed. Tzor chayenu magen yishenu atahu ledor vador. On the opposite page, 239, for the gift of our souls, for the promise of our lives, for all that we are and all we might yet become, for the creative seed sown within our minds, whose nurturing can yield a grand harvest. For all these gifts we thank you, O God, and pray that we prove ourselves worthy. Please join me. May our lives be ripe with the fruit of compassion, sweetly sustaining those in need. May we use our gifts wisely and with love, true messengers of blessing to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulacha ne'eh lehodot. And this section of our service ends with a prayer for peace, Shalom Rav. It's on page 240. If you're familiar with our tune, I hope you'll join us in singing this final prayer.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adom, lechol hashalom.
And now we take a moment for our own peaceful, our own private, our own individual prayers.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is an honor to turn over to our screen as one of the other cantors at the congregation. Cantor Michael Shockett would like to give a blessing and a welcome for all of you and an introduction to our Torah service this afternoon.
Cue. Good afternoon. I'm Cantor Michael Shockett, coming to you from a pre-recorded video. I'm currently on sabbatical and somewhere on the West Coast today as you are watching this bar mitzvah. But I very much wanted to be here, even virtually, to be a part of LJ's special day. LJ, mazel tov to you. I know everyone in this room and watching on the streaming is beaming with pride and admiration as they watch you take your place in the chain of Jewish tradition today, becoming a bar mitzvah. It's now time for the Torah service, which is the central part of our mincha service this afternoon. I know, LJ, how hard you worked on understanding the Torah portion today, how seriously you took this process, and how you learned all the blessings. You were supported in this journey not only by your tutor, Jenny, your parents, Nate, your grandparents, but also by your cousins, Sam and Leo, who are watching from Manitoba right now. What an amazing support system you have. So now I want to take a moment, LJ, to say mazel tov to your 4 grandparents who are here with you today in the sanctuary, and talk with you for a moment about how truly you are connected to this congregation. LJ, I'm sure you know this already, but you and Nate are 4th generation Temple Rhodes Shalom members. I'm not sure that there are others besides you that go that far back to the original founders of this congregation. Your great-grandparents, Larry and Marion Seiff, were original founders. And your great-grandmother, Esther Gleitscher, was a member here for about 10 years. Your grandfather, Hank, is a past president, and your grandmother, Judy, was first our nursery school director and then ran this place as the executive director. And your mom and your dad have been active in committees and leadership of this congregation too. Wow. Now, in just a few moments, you are going to be handed this very special Torah. It's called our Carpathian Torah because it comes from the Carpathian Mountains in Romania and is 300 years old. This small Torah was said to be carried on horseback from village to village by a traveling rabbi so that the communities that he visited could read a Torah. It has surely been part of Jewish ceremonies just like this for ages, and now it is part of yours. Like you, this Torah is strong and resilient. Like you, this Torah brings blessing and strength to all who have cared for it. May you hold it with pride and with love as you take your rightful place now as a bar mitzvah. So now we call forward and say Mazal Tov to your grandparents Susan and Raymond Behar and Judy and Hank Seiff, to stand with you and pass this Torah, this beautiful part of Jewish heritage representing the generations past, to your parents, who will then pass it on to you. I invite now the congregation to rise as we prepare for this transmission of the Torah.
You guys are going to come across here. Come on over here. LJ, you're at your podium. You're over here, buddy. Oh, he's going to teach him after he gets the Torah in his hand. Got your arm.
We can't hear it, so let's play it.
Louis, may you cherish the message of this Torah. It is a guidebook passed down from generations of Jews before you who have kept Judaism alive. We take great pride this day in your acceptance of Torah. This responsibility requires strength, knowledge, commitment, and love. Today, you have brought these qualities to the Jewish people and therefore are part of the link of the chain of Jewish tradition. May you embrace Torah your whole life.
I'm going to take the Torah. Shema is you.
Shema. Yisrael. Adonai. Eloheinu. Adonai. Ehad. Ehad. Eloheinu. Gadol. Adonenu. Kadosh. Shmo.
And we continue with the words Gadlul Adonai. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromemo shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai. Lecha Adonai hagedula, ve'hagevura, ve'hatiferet, ve'hanetzach, ve'ha'od.
Please be seated. Okay, LJ. Back over here.
For the first Aliyah this afternoon for LJ's reading, it's an honor to call upon his grandparents, Susan and Raymond Behar, to come up and join us on the bima. Here they are for the Aliyah. And we'll have LJ share with us an introduction to his Torah blessing. To his
The
Torah
Torah portion for this Shabbat that I will be reading is called Vayetzi. It comes from the book of Genesis, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 28, verse 10. In this portion, Jacob sees God in a dream and is told of the covenant he and his descendants have with God. You can find the Torah reading in the Torah commentary books located at your seats, beginning on page 195.
Yamdul Aliyah la Torah. You take off your mask. Yes.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Toratu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Jacob was traveling, he found a place. When the sun was setting to lay down, he put his head on a stone to rest. In his dream he saw a ladder, then he
ויצא יעקב מבאר שבע וילך חרנה.
Jacob was traveling, he found a place. When the sun was setting to lay down, he put his head on a stone to rest. In his dream he saw a ladder, then he saw angels. Then he talked to God, who says, "The ground on which you're lying I will assign to you and your children and their children's children."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet b'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Shaklah. Beautiful job. If you want to stand here to my left, that would be great.
You want that
Thank
back,
you.
I guess.
Yes, thank you. Why don't you come stand back here? For the second aliyah, for LJ's reading, it's an honor to call up his grandparents, Judy and Hank Seiff. Yamdul aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen.
והיה זרעך כעפר הארץ ופרצת ימה וקדמה צפונה בנגבה יברכו בך כל משפחות אדמה ובשרך.
God told Jacob that his kids shall spread from the north to the south to the east to the west. Jacob and his children will be a blessing to this world. God says, "Remember, I am with you and I will protect you." Jacob wakes up and feels like God is present in this place.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam neta b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Beautiful. You may have a seat, and if you two want to join here on this side. LJ, for the third aliyah, it is such an honor and a privilege to call you up as bar mitzvah for the very first time. Yamod, 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 habachor habar mitzvah, Aryeh Yaakov ben Yehoshua v'zahav la'aliyah l'Torah chazak. Hold on, let's do the kiss, okay?
Barhu. At. Adonai. Hamvarak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Barak. Adonai. Leolam. Vaed. Vaed. Barak. Ata. Adonai. Malek. Haolam. Asher. Lahar. Vanu. Mikol. Hamim. Vinatan. Lanu. Lanu. At. Torato. Barak. Ata. Adonai. Notain. HaTorah.
Amen.
וישכן יעקב בבוקר, ויקח את האבן אשר שם מראשותיו, ויציב אותה מצבה, ויצוק שמן על ראשה.
When Jacob got up, he put a stone on a pillar. He anointed the stone with oil. He named this place Bethel. This word means house of God. Jacob made a promise. If everything goes okay for this trip, he will accept God as his God. He will help by giving tithe. Barak. Ata. Adonai. Eloheinu. Melech. Haolam. Asher. Natan. Lanu. Torah. Emet. Vahaye. Olam. Nata. Betohenu. Barak. Ata. Adonai. Notain. HaTorah.
Amen. Yeshar Koach. Beautiful job, LJ. Fabulous. Chanting with the Torah, doing a beautiful job on the blessings. We're so very proud of you. That was fabulous. We are going to now dress the Torah. I invite the congregation to please rise as we sing this song of blessing for the Torah. We continue. Join together in the words Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim bo v'tomcheha meushar
Please be seated. Okay, hang on one sec. Is it on? That on? Okay, it's on. You ready? Okay, go for it.
Shabbat Shalom and good evening. I'm so happy you are all here with me. A bar mitzvah is always a special day. This day means I am growing up and becoming a young Jewish man and joining the Jewish community. But today is even more special to me because I will be using my AAC device to deliver my speech. For those of you who don't know, AAC means Alternative and Augmentative Communication. This means I use a communication device for words I can't say. I want the world to know that you can do anything even if you have a disability. You are important and your voice should always be heard. Also, the idea of feeling blessing and connection are key in my life. I want to make the world better through my deeds and my actions. The idea of being special and important really spoke to me as I read the portion of the Torah about Jacob and his dream. In Genesis, Jacob has a dream that he sees God. In this dream, God tells Jacob that he is going to be special. God tells him the place on which he lies is holy, and that all families of the earth will be Jacob's descendants. God promises to protect Jacob on his journey. As I read God's promise to Jacob that Jacob would be special and that God would watch over him, this inspired me. Being born with cerebral palsy, I have faced many challenges throughout my life. Things that others may take for granted, like eating, walking, and talking, have been a struggle for me. I have to fight every day to be heard and to be on the same level as everyone else. But God has always been with me, protecting me, like when I'm trying to talk and drive my wheelchair at the same time. Sort of tricky because I'm left-handed and I have to use the same hand to do both, drive and talk. Luckily, not too many crashes.
Good one.
He has gifted me with compassion and strength and the ability to smile through it all. And now that I'm older, I want to use my special gifts to help protect others. I love to connect to people, and I feel passionate about empowering others to do the same thing. My Torah portion speaks of the generations of families to come. He has gifted me with compassion and strength and the ability to smile through it.
Yeah, 7.
We are all the descendants of mothers and fathers, and we connect ourselves through our voice.
Ready for 8?
My service project focuses on supporting those like me. I have been working a lot with my mom to spread awareness about AAC and other alternative forms of communication. I want people like me to know they are not alone. The way you communicate doesn't change the value of what you're saying. If it's your voice, a communication device, sign language, writing, it doesn't matter. Everyone should be heard. And as I work to help others have a voice, I am also strengthening my own. While this Torah portion speaks of passing this blessing down from one family member to another, part of my bar mitzvah project was interviewing and making friends with older generations of people at Chesterbrook residences. I got to learn about the residents at a lonely time when the pandemic made their life more challenging. Not only does this fit my mission to have my own voice heard, but I think it helps the residents' voices be heard by sharing their stories with all of you. One special resident was from the Netherlands and remembered living under the German occupation during World War II. She survived and later in her life opened up a daycare center. She was especially interested in my communication device, and also how long it took me to learn to drive my power wheelchair. Another special resident was a singer in off-Broadway plays, and he let me sing Ophelia, one of my favorite pop songs, into his karaoke microphone.
There you are. 13.
As an aside, they all love food just as much as me. Every day at 4 p.m. their cafeteria opens, and they all rush to the elevators to go down and eat. I got to go with several of them down to wait in the lobby till it opened. I left each visit feeling like I made a difference. It made me feel so good to just brighten their day, even if only a little bit. One person, his name is Mr. Tom, was always writing to me during the pandemic. Here's some things he did. He was an infantryman in World War II. During Thanksgiving 1944, he battled through Normandy. Mr. Tom guarded several German prisoners of war during that time. He gave so much more, he risked his life. He came home in 1946 and turned 21 that year. I also made art to brighten his walls. He had a similar journey to Jacob. I would like to end my speech with some important thank yous to my village. To my mom, if there's anything you've taught me, it's that I can do hard things. You are more persistent, hardworking, and compassionate than anyone I know. To my dad, thank you for being a great teacher and helping me understand what's around me. From listening to NPR with you and having you read to me, you have taught me that it's important to know what's happening throughout the world. To my brother Nate, thank you for always being there for me. You support me during hard times, and I love the adventures we have together. You're my best friend, except when you call me a dingus, or say you'll pay me to do your chores. But seriously, I love you. To my grandparents, Didi, Bob, Nanny, and Babu, thank you for helping me grow as a Jewish person and seeing me move like everyone else just a little bit. To my grandparents, Didi, Bob, Nanny.
You got it. Take your time.
To my Hebrew tutor, Mrs. Rudo, thank you for getting me ready for this special day. The time you spend working with me and helping me prepare means a lot to me. To all my therapists, thank you for helping me get stronger each and every year. To the clergy, thank you for sharpening my Hebrew. Thank you to Mr. Henna for being the best aide in all of the PS schools. You are always thinking several steps ahead and you help me so much. To my caregivers, thank you for always being there for me when I needed you. I know I can be really difficult at times, but I appreciate you and I am so grateful that you've never quit. Thank you for encouraging me during difficult tasks and supporting me, caring for me along all aspects of my journey.
22.
And finally, thank you again to everyone from far and near who came to support me today. Thank you to Tante, my aunt in Florida, for watching me on the live stream, and shout out to Papa in North Carolina for your presence virtually. We are thrilled that technology has allowed you to be here with us. I appreciate and love you all so much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. You did it, man. Give it to me. Give it to me. All right. We don't usually clap during the service, but we all know we had to do that. So LJ, I get to be the first of so many people to say Mazal Tov. You knew I would cry. I cried at his bris, didn't I? So did you, right? I do get to be the first of so many people to say congratulations, Mazel Tov to you, LJ. Mazel Tov to your mom and dad. Sorry. You knew this would happen, right? Your grandparents, your brother. I really want to say a special Mazel Tov and thank you to Jenny Rudo, who is your partner in creativity and in creating this fabulous service, and the way you used your device, your own words came through beautifully, and thank you to Jenny and to you, LJ, for making this all come together so beautifully. As I always do, it's my job today to bring a little bit more of the tradition in connection with the words you so beautifully spoke. We heard your voice. We heard you. You spoke so beautifully about important moments when a person can be heard. You talked about opportunities to help make the world a better place, which you yourself have done. Now, earlier today, I read the Torah portion that was your Torah portion. The Torah portion, the 10 verses that you, through your own words and your cousins, shared with us today. Interesting, this story of Jacob, who is on a journey to figuring out who he is, a journey to figuring out how to mature. Does it sound familiar? Yes. Okay. Interestingly, in LJ's Torah portion, in the 10 verses that you read, there is a word that appears 7 times, which is really unusual. In 10 verses, one word 7 times. The word is makom. Makom means place. And as you said in your reflections, LJ, Jacob realizes after he wakes up from his dream that God is in this place. Now, when I read that, I realized that 7 times we have the word place, and maybe that's a reminder to us that we spend a lot of our lives going from place to place to place, right? From school to home to temple to your grandparents to play dates to therapy, whatever it might be. The goal, though, is to be able to discover the place or create the place where we can find a little bit of divinity. 7 times Jacob goes from place to place to place until finally he realizes that God is in this place. Isn't that our goal in life? We travel around all the time, but once in a while, when we're lucky, we can feel that something very special is happening. And more often than not, if we try hard, we can be the ones who help to bring God into this place. Now, LJ, I know amongst other things, you work for other people, helping them to bring their voice as you have brought your voice to us today. You, in a way, bring God into a moment when you help someone have a voice, right? Our goal, too, with all the things each one of us does, all the gifts each one of us has, once in a while, as we're traveling from place to place, the idea is to create a moment where God can be present with us. Just like, as you said, LJ, for Jacob, God was in that makom, that place. Now, LJ, as you go on into adulthood, we hope there will be many moments when you will create an opportunity for God to be present because you help another person in any way possible, because you're kind to another person, because you help us see something beautiful in the world. We thank you for the blessing you've been to us today, and why I want to encourage you to continue to do all the things you're doing in your life so that you can make more places where you and all of us feel God's presence. That's the goal. Am I right? Thank you. For the blessing you've been to us today, and for the blessing we know you will continue to bring to our congregation and our community, Cantor, Rhodes, and I want to bestow a blessing upon you. We're going to ask your brother Nate and your mom and dad to stand with us at the ark so that we can share a blessing. I know you all want to be a part of this, so I'm going to ask you to rise in support of this moment and join us.
May God bless you and keep you.
May God shine down upon you as you have shone upon us so beautifully today. May God grant you shalom, peace inside of yourself, peace that you share with the members of your family, and peace that you, through your many gifts, bring to our world. And let us all say, Amen.
Taking your place in an enduring line. This is the day that you're with us to say, our tradition is mine. You have now held the Torah. It's been passed on to you. It's our law and our story, and each telling is new. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. We remain standing, and we turn now to the words Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Leotzit Reshit, Shehu Notei Shamayim V'Yosed Haaretz, Umoshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Imo, Ushchinatu Zo B'Gofei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, V'anachnu Korim, Umishachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please be seated. Continue on page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Together, Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nemor v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo We take a moment now in our service to think of those that we have loved and that we have lost. Perhaps there are people here with us this afternoon who have recently lost a loved one. Or perhaps at these moments of joy, we think of those who influenced our life, who we so wish were in this room with us to celebrate, but who we certainly know are here with us in spirit. And on page 294, we rise to sanctify God's name and to remember those whom we have loved as we continue with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha b'reichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May the memories of our loved ones be a blessing. Please be seated. It's an honor now to call upon Hank Seiff, a past president of our congregation, but probably more importantly, LJ's grandfather, for some gift presentations and words of welcome.
I'll come to you. Thank you. LJ. As past president, I'm proud to represent Rhodes of Shalom and congratulating you on a job well done. Presenting you with a few gifts and making some announcements, but I'm prouder yet to be here as your grandfather. Your Torah portion talks about Jacob's travels, his stopping for the night and dreaming of angels ascending and descending the steps to heaven. I thought about comparing Jacob's journey and the angels to the ups and downs of your journey through life, and perhaps your meeting with the divine along the way. But for two reasons, I'm not going to do that. One, I was sure that Rabbi Schwartzman would make that comparison. And then I knew that Cantor Rhodes was going to sing Lehi Lam. And I realized that it's really Abraham's travels that give us a picture of life's journey, because that's the story when God spoke to Abraham and told him to leave his father's house and go on his way. And besides, since Abraham was Jacob's grandfather, I thought it was appropriate. God told Abraham to go forth from your father's house to the land that I will show you. But Debbie Friedman, when she wrote that beautiful song, she makes a subtle point, because she speaks the words of God to Abraham in both the masculine and the feminine. And she's telling us that God wasn't really talking just to Abraham. God was talking to all of us to go forth from your father's house to a place that he will show you. So all of us are going through life. We leave our parents' house and we go to places we do not know. Life is a great journey with many stations along the way, and today is one of the most important for you. There'll be many more, and you'll handle them just as well as you handled your bar mitzvah. God promised that he would make Abraham's name great and that Abraham would be a blessing. You know, it's a bit much to ask God to give you the kind of blessing that he gave Abraham and Jacob. But then you've already been a blessing to all of us who know you. And to quote a 1948 Walt Disney film, it's what you do with what you got that pays off in the end. You've proven that you can do great things with what you've got, and it paid off wonderfully today. You've got a very strong human contingent led by your parents, teachers, and caregivers that helped you achieve what you got today. And they're going to be there to support you as a community as you continue on your journey to a place you do not know. Now, the good part is I get to give you a mess of gifts on behalf of various parts of the congregation. A copy of the Reform Movement's prayer book as a gift from the women of TRS, with hopes that you'll use it as a guide in future Jewish ceremonies, and which same prayer book we use to study up for the Torah blessings tonight. A certificate, which I know you know about because you were all excited about, for your bar mitzvah, designed by a member of the congregation, and we know you're going to display that proudly. I know just where it'll go in your room. Inside this envelope is a gift certificate to use toward travel in Israel during your high school years, courtesy of NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth. A gift certificate for a free Tristy event. Tristy is the youth group at Road of Shalom. And finally, somewhere in there, there's a Kiddush cup as a gift from the clergy. So I will bring these things over to your mom to take these home for you. And you can move back to your place if you like. Let's see. And thanks to all of you on behalf of the congregation for being here tonight, and obviously thanks on behalf of LJ.
Thanks, Hank. Thank you, Grandpa Hank. Thank you, Grandpa Hank. And again, so pleased you're all here. Hope you get to come back for another happy occasion. An announcement or two that I'd like to ask if you indulge your help in for just a moment. First of all, after our service, if you would be so kind to remain at your seats, LJ would like to make his way out of the sanctuary ahead of you so he can greet you in the Mishkan. So the first part of the evening will begin in our new small sanctuary. As you exit our main sanctuary, it's to the left and around down the hallway, and you'll find LJ and his parents there. Also, if you could wait at your seats until LJ makes his way out of the sanctuary ahead of us, that would be a big help. And on your way out, you can bring your programs. That would be great too, but your prayer books stay at your seats. We end with a song, one of LJ's favorites, Hava Nashira, and a final blessing. Please rise.
Hallelujah.
As we leave, oh, it's you. Cantor Rhodes, over to you. Sorry.
Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Okay, guys,